All right, we are back here at CITIUS MAG live from Eugene, Oregon, and we're joined by the U.S. Olympic Trials 800-meter champion, three-time U.S. champion now, and officially headed to your first Olympic Games, Nia Akins.
Yeah.
Has it been just like a whirlwind of the last, 48 hours now?
It's definitely been a whirlwind. There's been a lot going on, but it's been really fun. And yeah, you never know if something like this is gonna happen again. So just trying to take it in stride.
Yeah. So when you got over here, it's just sort of like there's always athletes, hanging around in Eugene, just kind of locked in at the very beginning, and then afterwards, now you've got a huge smile on your face, like the weight has been lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah.
I guess, like, what can you describe sort of what that's like? I guess coming into a U.S. trials where everyone's gearing up for this, like for the last couple years, and you got it done.
Yeah, there's so much talent and depth in the U.S., like across all events, but the 800's definitely one of the deepest events, I think. So coming in here, I was confident in my training and what we've done, and I felt ready, but also I felt like maybe everybody was feeling that way. So it was really important to just kind of show up, take care of business, and not sleep on anybody, and make it through the rounds as safely as possible. And then just kind of like race, give it all I got emotionally and everything for the final, and just see what happens.
So we've been doing that Beast Unleashed series on the YouTube channel, and it goes all the way back to the team meeting where everyone's kind of sitting around and kind of talking about just coming off of last year, looking ahead to this year. When did sort of you and Coach Mackey sit down and kind of like map out this sort of season, and what were sort of the goals that you set out?
Yeah, we mapped out the season, I'd say sometime in the fall, I think, and we kind of wanted to follow a similar plan to what we had last year, where we were kind of focusing on the major U.S. championships and then the games. But last year I felt like I was a little burnt out towards the end of the season, and this year I wanted to be a little bit more mindful of that, going into races, kind of knowing when to really, really show up for the big ones and when to just kind of like just set things up for bigger races down the line. So that's kind of where our head was at this year, and so far it's paying off. Yeah, there's been a few hiccups along the way, but they're all like purposeful, I think.
Yeah, it's sort of like I look at it too, where sort of it was very... Josh and Danny have been so selective over the years of, when they race, where it's sort of like, all right, if we're going out to XYZ event, like we're really going to make it count. And it feels like he's taken a very similar approach to you, where, you came out here, what was it, like 2 months ago, I think, for the PreClassic, and that was like a really high caliber race. What did you want to get from that experience to, well, I guess like it's two-pronged, like it helps you get a peek at the people you may be facing at the Olympics, and at the same time, major confidence booster for the trials.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I feel like for me, like exposure therapy is really important. So I think like I just don't have a lot of experience racing internationally a field like that. So to take the opportunity in the States to do that without really having any interruption in training was huge. It was like right in the middle of camp. So it was a weird time to race, I think, for me personally, but it worked out really great. It's my best opener, and just a confidence booster as well, but also left me very hungry to like kind of like chip away a little bit more. So yeah. So
last year, World Championships, 6th place, and then up until this week, 157.73 was your personal best. What were sort of like, I love how Danny calls them like key performance indicators, or what is it? Like, isn't that what he calls, I guess, like the workouts? What were those telling you in practice about sort of your potential? Because, the way a lot of these athletes stagger their season in an Olympic year, it's like you got to bring your A game for sure, at the trials, because that's a hard one. And then at the same time, there's a second peak that's hopefully to come at the Paris Olympics.
Yeah. We haven't been focused too much on the times, I think. We had the luxury of already having the standard, so really it was about kind of figuring out, okay, how do we race the best in the world and get better and place better next time around. So really in practice, it's been a lot of like just strategy, honestly. Like, how can I run the best 8 that I can where I'm still finishing strong, and it's going to look different every race. It's going to be, I can't do the same thing every time. So we've been challenging me in that way, I think, a lot. Yeah.
I guess when it comes to how you feel physically compared to last year, what are some of the areas where you do feel like you've made like the biggest improvement?
I think on the strength endurance side, yeah, running some miles/15s and kind of seeing some progress in the sense of PRs there, but also like training with like Rebecca Mera and Marta Penfreitas, who are like amazing 1500 meter runners, and getting my butt handed to me in practice has been it has been so fruitful and so worth it. Yeah, so I think that's been huge.
Let's walk through, I guess, like the final here, or I guess let's start with just sort of like the rounds. What did you want to execute in round 1 and round 2? Because I feel like in the 800, what we've sort of seen is like people were trying different tactics throughout the rounds to get ready for, you know, the final. What were you trying to get out of those first 2 rounds?
Yeah, I mean, we are the social experiment, right? Like we like basically mirrored the Olympics. Schedule wise, and it's different for the women because we had the 2 harder rounds back to back. So there honestly wasn't really a strategy. I feel like Danny was like, just race it, and I was like, I don't know, that's kind of what I was thinking, and then we'll just like see what happens. So the first round was just dust off the cobwebs and get through. And
that 201 felt super comfortable.
It felt good. I also wanted, I don't know how the seeding works, but I did want to be like, I did want a good seed, I feel like, for the second round. And then for the second round, I was just kind of like, just make it through to the final without, don't kill yourself trying to do that, and just kind of get through. And then for the final, save all the emotional running for the final, basically. Because it's the next day, and I haven't run back to back since college, so that was new, that was different, but the body felt great, so I'm really excited about the games. Yeah. When
you say emotional running, what does that mean?
I don't know. I feel like, especially in champs, which I've made this mistake before, I just get a little desperate and just like, I got to do this now, or like I have to win this race, I have to win this round, and I think. Sometimes it just doesn't have to be that way, and there's kind of a strategy to it, and there's a timing to it too, a little bit. So I think, definitely had a helper this. I mean, every time, but I feel like, my spirit was just kind of like, just wait, and then like now's the time where you can be emotional and give it all you got, because you don't have another racer around to worry about.
So now the final, right? Like it's. Yeah. Have you gone back and rewatched this thing a couple times?
No.
You haven't?
No, not yet.
Well, why is that? Is it just sort of like, oh, the opportunity just hasn't come about? Or is it just sort of like, I want to kind of process this on my own first?
Yeah, I kind of just want to process it. And I was very tunnel vision. I was very in the secret place, I feel like, the entire race. So I kind of remember that, and I want to kind of dissect that a little bit more before I go back and watch film. And there's more film I want to watch too on other people, so I think we'll kind of do it all at once, maybe once we like start when we head back to Albuquerque and start training again. Right now I just kind of want to chill, not think about racing, not stress.
Yeah. All right, closes the tab, we're not watching that one. But okay, so the actual race execution, 200 meters in, that's when sort of like the most chaotic thing in the race happens. A thing takes a fall. What was sort of your vantage point of just how everything unfolded, and how do you stay composed after, such a crazy moment happens?
Yeah, I just had the luxury of being in lane 8, and I wasn't near it, and I didn't really see exactly what happened. I knew that somebody had gotten tangled. But I didn't know, I just didn't know what was happening behind me at any point in the race.
So scary.
So I had to just really listen to my body and how I felt, and I felt really good through 400, and was thinking about taking it, and then I was like, I've never done that before. So then I was at 300, I was like thinking about taking it, I was like, I've never done that before, and then like 250, I was like, oh, whatever, like send it, let's do it. And it paid off.
Yeah. So that sort of move, what was, I loved how at PreClassic, Josh was asked about the race plan that he and Danny kind of drew up for that mile, and how he just sort of like, no, all right, I'm going to go against the race plan, and it paid off. Similarly to you, was there a race plan that Danny and Julian kind of wrote out or like thought of, and then this was just instinct?
It was a little bit of instinct, but I would say Danny and Julian, I mean, I run a lot of like 200s and 300s and stuff with Julian, and he's always like, okay, like pass me here, I'm going to do this, you react. So I think there was a lot of preparation for being able to move at different points. So like those tools were available. I hadn't used them yet. So I think that was the scary part, was kind of just like trusting the process and hoping that it paid off at the right time.
Yeah.
Because it could not have. So yeah, but that was it's been an awesome journey, and I'm very
this fitness
fortunate.
Level this fitness level that you're at right now, like it's so cool to watch, because now you have a couple more weeks to even level up from here. What is it that you want to hopefully get out of, going back to Albuquerque and training over the next couple of weeks? Like, what are some of the things that you want to really sharpen up on?
Yeah, I mean, I think once we go back and watch film, I think that'll kind of tell us what we need to work on the most. I think finishing as best I can. I think it was really disheartening to kind of be like slowing down the last 100 meters of in Budapest, and I think that's what I want to avoid in Paris, is to be able to, like, however the race plays out, to kind of know the pace that I need to go out in, because that's important too, and just finish the best I can is the goal. Yeah.
Were you always a racing film junkie, or has this come about in the last couple of years?
It's been, I've always been a fan. I've never been like in the races. So I feel like I've always been watching them, like, oh, this person did this, they should have done that, da da da. And then when I'm in it, I'm like, oh, okay, like now I'm that person, and now I'm just kind of like picking on myself. But yeah, I feel like more and more I become more of a film junkie, but it's less like me being a fan of the sport, more me trying to, like, I don't know, it's kind of like chess, figure out the best way to run an 8. So, yeah.
So you've touched on sort of like some of the learnings from Budapest. Is there something to, like, all right, that was last year, and like let's focus on this year, where it's like I'm done watching the Budapest World Championship final, or is it still something that you might revisit 1 or 2 more times before Paris? Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing about watching film too, is like I'll definitely rewatch and like rewatch pre and a ton of stuff, but like I can't, like I'm not the same athlete that I was for either of those races, and I can't assume that they're also the same athletes too. So it's like you kind of like take that and you learn from them, but then at the same time you kind of have to expect surprises too. So like a little bit, I don't know, a little bit of both.
What has it also been like, I guess, coming out here with, the Brooksby's team? Like, I know you have to be laser focused in sort of your own races, but there are times when it's like, oh, Henry's on his warm up, or his race is coming about. Like, have you had the chance to like watch from the stands? And like, and this weekend will also be kind of crazy, just kind of pouring over results of like what's happening in the UK, and just at Marta's championships too. So it's cool because you have a team. Yeah, the team's awesome. Henry's there's TVs everywhere too, which is also incredible. So like I showed up just in time to like sit and get ready to warm up right when Henry was racing. And then Allie was just getting ready to warm up. So there's just kind of like a lot going on. Danny's like going back and forth between everybody, and Sarah too. But yeah, so like it's a little bit of trying to like, I don't know, stay focused, but also like we all get so excited for each other. So it's kind of like that makes it a little bit tough. But being the first half is just like such a dream. Yeah. Because now I'm done, and like I can watch the men's 8 in the stands and cheer and not worry about recovery, and so I'm really excited to just be a fan of the sport for the remainder of trials. In one of the most recent videos I think that we released, I think it was kind of like Danny and Julian giving an update on just like the team spring, and Julian says like the pack has never been stronger. Do you feel that?
I do. It's funny. We in our last team meeting before trials, we were talking about just like how great everybody was looking, but also like my team we're a bit ridiculous. Like there's just like so many like eclectic personalities kind of coming together. So we also have a lot of fun too. So it's cool to see how the culture has just like every year just kind of like blossoms in a different way, but we're just all super like comfortable with each other, and everybody's just like being themselves and goofing off and stuff. But then when it's time to work, the work ethic is the same, I think, across the board. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
What I love sort of about just like the dynamic of the team now that I kind of just like look at the names and some of the credentials, it's like someone like Henry has been to so many of these U.S. championships and like come up just shy, but he's always kind of in the mix. And that includes at like previous U.S. Olympic trials. And when the trials and the Olympics is like the pinnacle of our sport, that a lot of people view that as like, this is going to change my life and like it's going to change like the trajectory of my career. How do you sort of view the Olympics? Because then you could have Josh also, share his perspective of like, yeah, going to the Olympics is great and it is the top thing in our sport and you can come away with a medal, but it's like, then you just got to get back to practice and like we're at the end of the day, it's track and like we're not going to all of a sudden become overnight celebrities because of this one event. In your head, did you sort of like have to minimize the glitz and glam of the Olympic Games, or is this something that you really have always wanted and this would have been really crushing to not make?
Yeah, I think Henry 3:32,
yeah.
Incredible. Like that final was so fast, but yeah, like his perspective was really beautiful because afterwards he was just like, I just did the best that I could, and like I was rewarded for it with the time, and he was really excited. And yeah, I think when you do your best and you show up, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed,
right?
Or as disappointed as maybe you would be if you just chose not to really go for it, or you chose not to take risks and stuff. And with Josh too, I feel like he's like reached the mountaintop, and every single time he's like, okay, where's the next mountain? And he just like keeps pushing the envelope. So that's been really important for our team culture as well, and also really cool to see. And it's like, it's not why we do it to just like be celebrities or like, I don't know, be like big names in the sport or anything. It's just like we do it because we love it and we just kind of want to see how good we can be. So yeah, I don't think I like made a big deal of the Olympics, and I like took myself off of social media so I don't buy into the kind of like hype and just show up. It's still 800 meters, still track. Yeah, I've done it before. I think when you take that, when you strip everything away from the race itself and just kind of see it as what it is, like it's just like a hard workout. I think I would have been disappointed if I didn't make the team, but also like if it's not for me, it's not for me. I don't want anything that God doesn't want for me. So, but I appreciate that he had this in the cards for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about just like the what if. All right, we got Mac with a question.
Yeah. After winning your outdoor U.S. title last year, did you come into this year feeling any sort of additional pressure to sort of repeat? And do you relish sort of your position now as the best U.S. 800-meter runner, now that you're you're back-to-back. You're a three-time U.S. champion, now back-to-back outdoor champ.
Yeah, I didn't feel any pressure, to be honest. The depth is, like I said, is insane. Like, it could be anybody's day, and you never know if who's up today is going to be up tomorrow, and, today's a brand new day. So I kind of came into it just kind of feeling like anybody had a chance. It could be anybody's race. Like anything could happen. So, anything did happen. So, you just never know, you just never know.
And I guess another question I have is, how frustrating was indoor championships for you? You were clearly fit this indoor season, and you ended up, I think you were sick. I think you went to the hospital, if I remember correctly, and then also you had your shoe stepped on and was flown off in the prelim. How did you kind of bounce back after that? And I guess during the moment, how frustrating was that for you?
Yeah, in the moment, I think so much was happening at the same time that I didn't really have time to process it. I just, I felt like I was meant to keep fighting through, not knowing what the result was going to be. So I was disappointed to like have had gone through all that and then gotten third. But also at the same time, like once the dust kind of settled, I was like, okay, I went through all that and I got third. Like maybe I should race again if I'm feeling like healthier and just kind of like see what's left. But yeah, like kind of like what I said earlier, like you never know, what's going to happen. Like crazy things happen all the time. That's our sport. You have to be ready on the day. And, Allie was ready on the day. Mm-hmm. And like, that's what happened. And, I'm extremely happy for her because like she's had her own journey and, it's been cool that we get to kind of like cross paths and go back and forth, So yeah, it just happens.
How do we feel about this team just sort of like as personalities and like I think like it's one of the most fun group of women that we could put together, and we just had Juliet on earlier today. Yeah. And then looking at the pictures from after the race, everyone is in just total shock.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't really know what was happening behind me, so when I saw the names I was like, what? You're like I wasn't surprised by Allie or Juliet, but at the same time I was just like, we did that, and it's not maybe the people that you would have expected on paper, just if you like look at the past trials or last year even or anything, but like Allie's been crushing it all year and she's been getting better, and after her champs last year, she just came in with a fire that you just can't mess with, and mm-hmm. Juliet's just been on a roll in CAA indoors and then outdoors, and then showed up like I think she ran sub 2 in like the semi too, and then came back in the final. Like that's crazy. That's insane. So it's really cool like to be able to go with these ladies. I'm like inspired by them, and I feel like we've been building each other up, which is also what's really cool about this particular group is I feel like I know them a little bit more personally. So yeah, I'm just really excited.
Team processing for the Olympics a little different than like a World Championships. More paperwork, more uniforms to put on. What was that sort of experience like for you? Just to see yourself in the kit.
I think because of Budapest last year, I wasn't so as enamored by everything, and I also like did not sleep a single second the night before, so I was just kind of like not really present for everything. But there were snacks. The snacks were awesome, and it was a very long process. Ralph Lauren was really cool. Getting fitted for like the opening ceremonies and closing ceremonies fits was really cool. And then PJs and just all this. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to take all this stuff overseas with me. But yeah, it was fun. I'm excited. The kits look great. Yeah.
Shari Hawkins was telling a funny story how like similar to you, like made the team and like was a zombie the next morning for team processing that like on the please enter your like home address, she like wrote down her email address. Like it just sort of like your brain is zapped at that point from just like the emotional high.
Yeah, honestly, that was my experience as well. And it was funny, we were all like, she was there and Allie and we were all just kind of joking about, we're like, we're so tired, this is so cool, but we're so tired. But it was, it's a cool process.
You were on the team last year, and I love hearing the stories of just sort of like the unexpected friendships that you strike up on Team USA. Yeah. Like, for some reason, like this 1500 runner is now really good friends with this shot putter or whoever it might be. Like, did you have one of those friendships blossom last year, or is like there's someone that you're looking to for this team that you're like, you know what, I would really like to get to know that person?
Yeah, I think there were, I had the privilege of going with like some beasts. So like we ended up kind of like,
were a clique.
We rolled with the pack a little bit, yeah. Zay was on Team USA, obviously, so hung out with him a lot, and then Josh and Marta, we would kind of like all do a practice like together, and then so that was kind of like, it felt like we were in Albuquerque or Seattle, like we could have been anywhere because it was like just the team, but yeah, I'd say there were like. In Zurich, there was this moment where, like, I also, talked to Raven a little bit, but there was just some chaos that was happening in Zurich before we towed the line. And there was this moment where we just, like, looked at each other and we just were, like, we just died. Like, we were just laughing so hard. And I don't know. There's just, little friendships you just build, or people that you get to know a little bit more. It just probably means nothing to you guys, but it's just like they're just funny things that happen that you just kind of connect with people. Met a lot of awesome people, for sure.
outside of your own sort of competition, I know like it is tough when it's like, oh, like I made it to the Olympics, I want to go see this and that, and it's like, but you gotta focus on sort of like the job. Are there any little tiny things that you kind of want to be like, hey, like I'd love to, you know, if it fits in my schedule, get out to see a gymnastics competition, or you know, I don't know, like what are the Olympic things you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I feel like there was a list at some point that I was like, oh, if I do this, I want to do like A, B, and C. And now I'm just kind of like, oh, I just want to race. Yeah. And then after that, we'll see what happens. But my family's coming too, so I think they'll kind of help dictate like what we do and stuff. And then also like I'll be spending some more time in Europe, hopefully afterwards racing. So you know, might explore.
Yeah.
Take the train somewhere, go see Marta in her hometown. So yeah, we'll see.
This is a fun one that like I like asking, just sort of the family. Did anyone book anything for Paris before the trials? Like lock down an Airbnb or a flight? No,
they didn't. My dad didn't come to this meet though. He was like, I'm going to. No, he was like so confident. He's like, I'll see you in Paris.
Wow.
I was like, Dad, that's a risk, but it was worth it. So yeah, he's like, I'll sit this one out for the big one.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So smart. All right. Well, Nia, I appreciate you stopping by, and it's been so much. Actually, wait, one more. Just kind of thinking of just like how athletics and like the sport sometimes influences your creativity when it comes to like your music. Does this experience or anything like that like lead to some early thoughts on paper, whether it's like, you know, future lyrics or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I've written a few songs since.
Since the race?
Yeah, I didn't sleep, so I was just up, and there's a grand piano in the graduate. So, yeah, and I brought my guitar too. So just definitely written some songs, which now I'm like, because I'm trying to put together an album, and I just keep adding songs that I want to produce, so it's just gonna take a little bit longer, but sometime in the fall hopefully I can like put it out. But yeah, definitely influences it for sure.
That's so cool to hear. Is this like gonna be like a 31 track like album like Taylor Swift?
Oh gosh. No, I was listening to that on the drive down though. It's so good, and I think there's just so many different like themes in it that just kind of like all compile and become cohesive, and I feel like my songs are just kind of like about so many different things and are kind of all over the place. So I feel like it was cool to like listen to that and be like, okay, maybe it's okay that it's patchworky.
Are you a music in the warm-up area person?
Sometimes, yeah.
Here at the trials?
Yeah.
What were you listening to?
I was listening to kind of all my like songs kind of on repeat, and then I have this voice recording of like a worship service from like, I don't even know how far back ago, but it's like 15 minutes long, and you can kind of hear like the congregation, like, I don't know. So I was listening to that on repeat, and it's just like a girl and playing guitar, and I just kind of get lost in the guitar. So that was kind of like the big one for me, I think. And then obviously the Christmas trap is my favorite genre. Music.
Okay. Nice. All right, well, Nia, I appreciate you coming by. Best of luck in training over the next couple of weeks. I think we'll be dispatching Johnny Pace to capture some more content in the build-up toward Paris. And so looking forward to seeing how these final few chapters of the Beast Unleashed series pan out. And then we'll see you in Paris.
Thank you.